It doesn't change anything for us. I mean, obviously, if anything, it's got to work even harder. I mean, it doesn't really change anything for us. Regardless of the expectations, the game is played on Sunday. You got to go out there and play the game, and regardless of if people think you're going to win, think you're going to lose, doesn't really matter. So, and that's the mindset we had last year, being pretty much the underdog in every game, and we got to carry that over this year too. We still have to have that chip on our shoulder and prepare the same way. You know, we still didn't get to where we wanted to last year, so we have a lot more work to do.
All right, you heard it from Trevor Lawrence himself. The Jaguars still have a lot of work to do. They're going from being the hunter to the hunted. Big switch for this team because they haven't been that in a long time. Alessandra, this is your first kind of go-round with the team. You weren't here for the craze last year. What's your early impression of Trevor Lawrence, and how are you feeling about the Jaguars right now?
I'm excited. I'm super excited. Being at OTAs last week and the week before, you can feel there are good vibes in this stadium. Among the players, among the coaches, everyone seems very upbeat and happy and optimistic for the future. Listen, hopefully I can bring some good luck now here in Jacksonville. So hopefully we'll have maybe a Super Bowl contender coming up this season. Who knows? But I'm excited for minicamp coming up the next 3 days.
She's got her lucky green on, right, Frank? So we're good.
Well, look, Alessandra went to Alabama where they never lose. They win every game, Okay, so that the luck she's bringing is from Tuscaloosa. So, yeah, I think the culture is really good. What Alessandra noticed when she got here is what we've seen grow, Jamal, and that is the fact that they believe in each other. It's a calm, trusting team that trusts each other. Now, look. There are expectations. Trevor gave you the exact right answer, but there are expectations. And the minute something goes badly, you're going to get criticized more heavily because of those expectations. And that's when you regain that chip on your shoulder. So it is different. There's a different feeling around that team. There's a different way of people from the outside look at that team. And that does make it harder. No matter how much people say it's the same, it makes it harder. And you're going to see that play out this year. I believe that.
Now, if the Jaguars are going to reach those Super Bowl expectations, they're going to need a little bit of help along the way. No crazy free agent signings or offseason additions. They've kind of been working their way through OTAs. Minicamp starts tomorrow on Monday. That goes through Wednesday. So we've all been kind of keeping our eyes out on players that could be ready to take that next step. I'll get both of you guys' feedback and opinions on players that could be ready to make that jump. But first, I want to give one of the Jaguars coaches a chance to kind of shine some light on a guy that many of us may have even given up on at this point.
So it just takes time. You know what I mean? You put a bag of popcorn in the microwave, it don't all pop at once, right? Some kernels pop a little bit different than the other ones. And you just got to have the patience. And I think we've had the patience. I think Doug has had the patience, Trent, and the coaches. We see it. I know the fans don't see it. And a lot of fans want it right now because they fanatics. They want to see it. But understand, it's a football player in there, and I think now we're starting to see it all come about for him. I look forward to him having a big year this year.
That's Jaguars defensive line coach Buckner, and last year he told me to look out for Devon Hamilton. He was right, so I asked him who else to look out for, and you heard him. K'Lavon Chaisson's the guy. Every popcorn kernel don't pop at the same time, and it's just taking a little bit longer for, I guess, Chaisson to pop. Frank, do you see maybe the light coming on this year for K'Lavon?
Yes, I do. And what Brenton told you is the truth is they like him. They like K'Lavon Chaisson. I've been told that by numerous coaches. They think something is in there. I'm not sure he's an edge rusher exclusively, Jamal, and that's what he's been used as. He's a little bit undersized, but he's a good player, and he's a good football player. He's a great special teams player. Listen, people beat him up because he was picked in the first round. He didn't decide where to get picked. It's not his fault he went maybe higher than he should have. But there's a lot of belief. Brenton Buckner hit it. There's a lot of belief that there's a good player in there in K'Lavon Chaisson. I think people believe that. I really do.
We'll get a chance to see. I will say K'Lavon has made some plays so far through OTAs, so this is a chance for him to definitely come up big. This is a contract year for Chaisson, so a lot on the line for him. As we kind of talk about young players that could be ready to step up, we have to talk about that rookie class as well, and we don't have to look far outside the Jacksonville area to get a guy who the coaching staff really does like. Baker County's own Cooper Hodges. Jaguars drafted him out of Appalachian State, and you know what? I think we have a new nickname for Cooper Hodges, and apparently he gave it to himself, so we love it.
Oh, he's country strong now. And the guys love him. His nickname's Tugboat. So Tugboat does a good job. Yeah, everybody gets to pick their nickname, and he chose Tugboat. So.
Well, I told him in rookie minicamp, it's either you come up with your own nickname or they'll come up with one for you. The group.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and he was like, well, they call me Tugboat. And I was like, that'll play over well. Let's see what that does. So and then he came in the first day, he's like, I'm Tugboat. And everybody's like,
Tugboat definitely gets a thumbs up. Alessandra, on a scale of 1 to 10, where's Tugboat?
I love it. I love it. Listen, if he's Tugboat, I'm going to be the little engine that could. That's my new nickname that everyone can call me.
All right, we're sticking to that. Now you're stuck with it. Frank, we won't forget this one. She's the little engine that could.
I forget nothing. Alessandra, that'll be it forever. I promise you that. I love the draft class, and we've had this talk before. I really think Brenton Strange is going to give them something they haven't had. That's an inline tight end who's a factor in the passing game, Jamal. I really believe that. Chris Manners was a wonderful pass blocker, but he wasn't a factor in the passing game, and everybody knew that. I think Tank Bigsby gives them a downhill runner. That's the one thing that really good running back room didn't have. Maybe Dearness Johnson, the new guy, will give you a little bit of that, but didn't have a downhill runner. I think they've got that now in Tank Bigsby. I think Anton Harrison's going to start at right tackle right out of the gate. I'm telling you, man, I know we happen to be, we tend to be glasses half full guys around here sometimes, and I admit to that. But I love the newcomers. I think it's going to be a class that we're going to be talking about for years to come. I really do.
All right, how about another newcomer, a name that maybe many people aren't talking about? The Jaguars signed him right after rookie minicamp. He is an insane athlete and a guy who's already made history in the NFL, Sammis Reyes. Now, Sammis is the only Chilean player in NFL history to ever play in a game. He played for the Chilean national team. He was originally a basketball player. When I talked to him, he said, since he got to the U.S. as a kid, every school he went to, the coaches tried to convince him to play football. And apparently, all of those coaches knew what they're talking about because now here he is in the NFL.
Chileans have a lot of pride. We work really hard. And I know it's an honor for me to be here, but at the same time, I know I'm setting the stage for the guys that come next. Hopefully, there's never been another one. I'm the only one that's ever played in the NFL, so hopefully we can pave the road for the next one.
Have you always just been an elite athlete like your whole life? I know basketball was the sport team. Were you one of the guys on the court?
Yeah, I mean, it's just I've been playing basketball my whole life. My mom and my dad, they both played. I started playing basketball with the Chilean national team when I was 13. And I played basketball with them from the age of 13 to 23. World Cup qualifiers, international tournaments. We played against Brazil. We played against Team USA. So it was really fun. But like I said, my heart is in this game now in football, and I can't wait to get going and, play for the Jags.
Two more interesting things about Sammis. When he made the switch from basketball to football, he called up Chris Manhertz, who also made that same switch, to get some advice on how to make the switch. He was also in the Bears system last year. They tried to convince him to switch from tight end to defensive end. So you know what? The guy's probably pretty physical. We can trust on that. We'll see if he can make an impact and make the roster. Alessandra, you've been there for OTAs. Have any of the players just kind of jumped out at you already?
Well, I got to be honest, with OTAs, I'm looking at the Alabama guys, Calvin Ridley being one, I just draw my attention to them. But what I'm really excited about seeing firsthand is that receiving group. I mean, you bring in Parker Washington from Penn State, who we hopefully will be able to speak to tomorrow. But then, you have Ridley, you have Christian Kirk, you have Zay Jones. Talk about all the guys that are there that Trevor can pass to. That is what I'm really excited to see. And then obviously adding Ridley to that group. What else can we see from the wide receivers? So that's what I'm really looking forward to this upcoming season and into minicamp tomorrow.
All right, a lot of young players that we'll be keeping an eye on. One player that we're going to keep our eye on when minicamp starts tomorrow, Josh Allen. If he's there, if he's not, hasn't shown up for OTAs. Frank, the team says they're not worried about him. We know Josh Allen as a hard worker, so we really shouldn't be worried because he may not be with the team, but we know he's working hard. The team obviously wants to see Josh Allen have a great year. Do you think he can be kind of primed for that? He's been a guy who's gotten close to a lot of sacks last year, but wasn't really able to convert as many of them into those big plays as the Jaguars maybe would have liked.
I hope so, Jamal, because we all like Josh Allen. He's a great guy, and he's earned enough stripes with his work ethic and his culture that even though you'd like to have everybody here for voluntary workouts, he's one guy that I don't think they're worried about at all. I really don't. Whether he's here this week or not, I don't think they're worried about that. I hope so. The question I have is, will he have a lot? I don't know that he's a guy that's going to have 12, 13 sack seasons. I just don't know that that's who he is. I think he's a good player. Is he good enough to get that next contract? I want him to. I think he wants to live here. I think the family likes it here. I think he went to Arizona and worked his butt off in this period. That's why he hasn't been out there. He's trying really hard. But I don't know. I'm not convinced that they'll bring him back. I hope they do. But I'm not convinced he'll make a second contract here in town. We're all rooting for him, and I want him to prove everybody that doesn't think he's coming back, and I'm not there yet. But I want him to prove all those people wrong. But it's hard for me to get a good read on what he'll be. He's a good player, though, Jamal. I just don't know that he's a sack specialist. And when you get drafted as high as he was, that's what people are looking for.
And sack specialists are the ones that get the big paydays. But a 12 to 13 sack season would definitely make a lot of Jaguars fans happy and help his cause toward that big contract that I'm sure he's after. Frank, Alessandra, thank you all for being here, and thank you at home for hanging out with us for some of this. Don't forget, if you want more Jaguars coverage, you can find it over on the News for Jags podcast and the News for Jags newsletter. You can track those down over on newsforjags.com. Of course, it's your favorite sports page, right? Or anywhere that you get your podcast. We've still got plenty more of the Sports Zone coming your way. We're turning our attention to college baseball, where the Gators are headed to Omaha. That's coming your way in the Sports Zone, coming up right after this.